everybody. Today we have an original NES console. It is not currently working. It sort of gets power, ends up with a blinking red light, but that is not the final thing. Today we are going to fix John Lennon. So first thing we're going to do is there's a lot of either sun or smoke film on the outside of this, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing tore down and get it opened up so that way we can at least start getting those pieces soaking and everything. Get those stickers off of there and get this console hopefully back to its former glory. All I got was it's not reading game discs and it has a flashing red light. I had already checked that earlier when these got sent in. We actually had 3 of them come in. I just figured do a quick video on one of them with the process of just getting it cleaned up. They pretty much want it cleaned up, back up and working, and the best that we can do for restoring the case, the actual shell of the console. Take out the 6 screws on the bottom. Don't need anything underneath that port. Flipped over, and then pretty much from there, the top lifts right off. I'm going to go ahead and get this sticker off of here and get it into the cleaning solution. Alright, I got that sticker off the top, but I just wanted to show you this. It actually has the UV damage from the John Lennon sticker on there, and this case is a lot more yellow than what this camera's picking up. Probably about what you're seeing here, and that color is actually what the rest of this looks like, and this is way darker than that, but actually almost the entire top shell is this color right here. This camera's just kind of throwing the color off, but get this into the bath and it's probably going to need 2 or 3 days to fully get cleaned up in there. Alright, let's go ahead and get the rest of this opened up here. Surprising thing about the original Nintendo, I'm taking apart right here, I actually have a screw off of an original Nintendo, and just to the side of that, the one on the left is out of a GameCube. The one on the right is out of an original Nintendo. And this is the spot where you actually have 2 longer screws at, or these 2 right here that sit up top and hold those down. I'll do is actually just take a small file or some like 2000 grit sandpaper and just do a couple of passes. In each direction down those. thing is not pushing. It's literally just setting it in there, letting it kind of lightly drag across it, and it's just trying to clean up some of that surface corrosion. Really wouldn't recommend doing this or trying it, because you can scrape way too much off the top and actually permanently damage the pins. So all I'm doing is looking to make sure I have these shiny right in the spots I want them to be shiny in. Go ahead and get the rest of these parts scrubbed down. Most of that's cleaned up. We'll get the rest of this cleaned up. Not going to bore you with watching that, but we will pretty much go through from there. Be back in a couple of days when that other stuff is done. Alright, and we are back with the John Lennon Nintendo that was really dirty and had a lot of sun damage on it. We got that, I would say, a good 90-95% cleaned up, so we are going to go ahead and get this thing put back together. It was, I wouldn't say it's the worst restoration that I have done, but it is up there on one of the dirtiest consoles that I have had come through and needed to be cleaned up. We don't have restoration services directly listed on our website just because it's a little hard to price those out ahead of time, because each one's different and everything. But if you do have a console that you would like restored, you can contact us, and we're going to need photos and everything of it just to be able to kind of get an idea of what it's going to take, how long it's going to take, mostly because this one's, we're literally going on, I think, about 5 days now of the cleanup specifically on this console, mostly just because of how long we let it sit in the cleaner. At least the top half. We still have some scrubbing to do on the bottom and that, but we can actually do that part once the console is put back together. Alright, now we're just going to go through and get all of our screws back in here. There was actually a bit more damage on the console than what it originally looked like when we first pulled it out. There were some more spots that were actually, once we got that initial grime off of the outside, there was a few minor cracks in the case and everything. I said it's not 100%, but I'd give it a good 90% back to its original form. So, right. Top plate back in. Those always make horrible noises going back in. That's just because of the way that it all slides back together. If it doesn't sit flat right off the bat, pull it out a little bit, readjust, and then get it to where it sits flat, because these front pieces, sometimes they'll actually sit kind of popped up and everything should be sitting flat. And if they're popped up and you go through and you actually tighten them down all the way, when you go to put a game in, it won't actually end up reading the disc itself. It will end up giving an error. It'll give you the flashing red light. Also, just be cautious of how tight you're tightening down all your screws, because you don't need to crank those down. Nothing on here needs to be cranked down like crazy. It should all go in really smooth, easy. Pretty much screw it in once it's tight by hand. You're done. When the screwdriver stops, you're done. Don't go, oh, screwdriver stopped, let me give it another little bit of a turn. Tighten it down some more. That's how you end up stripping out the screw holes. And nobody wants stripped out screw holes in their console. Actually, I have a couple of screws from another console over here too that we're working on. Got another Nintendo that's taken apart. That one actually didn't have all of the screws with it to start with, so that's where that one's at. Grab the top plate and start getting that back together. Alright, get that out of the way. Top cover. The thing on the top cover is there's these little tiny spring pieces, and you don't want to tighten them all the way down when you put them in. Now there's two black pieces that go on. They are the exact same, so it doesn't matter which one goes on which side. But if you look at it, there's a little mark from the case actually rubbing on one of them. So that's the one that used to be in the front, but they are built the exact same. And the easiest way to do those is actually start the screw by hand. I'm going to put the back one in first. I'll show you why you want to put the back one in first. They're the exact same because this one also has the same third hole as the other one does. It just doesn't get a screw inside of it. It just pops up through to align everything. So on the front, if you have one of these and a screw hole actually breaks that holds down the little spring clip, you can swap those two around. And use the other one. Which I've seen that only on one console before, but you have that option. Those little spring clips are actually what is the flapper for the door, of the door open and close. I'm not going to show you the top of this thing until the very end. Save that little bit for last. Usually when I put screws in, I'll either do the two center or I'll do two opposite corners first. And that's mostly just to help pull everything down nice and evenly. And we got the system board cleaned up in this and everything working on it as well. Tested that out. I was reading games just fine. A little bit of a wipe down on it, on the bottom, but there it is. It's the same case. It's all nice and cleaned up, looking a lot better. This will be up on our store, available for purchase, but that is a restored Nintendo. Like we said before, fixing John Lennon. John Lennon is fixed, and we will get Lennon up. Thanks for stopping in, and have a good night.